40 years as a speech pathologist, um, can you maybe give us a little bit more of an understanding about, some of the techniques that you've adopted and some of the programs that you've been involved with to help these prisoners rehabilitate through speech and language and communication?
Okay, lovely, thanks. So it's almost exactly 10 years since I went into the prison for the first time, and I literally just rang the prison one day and asked if I could come and talk with the education team at the prison about what I understand how to do as a speech pathologist. So speech pathology, maybe people don't know, is what's called an applied science. So it's the science and a collection of sciences about how the human being uses how we as humans use ourselves to communicate. So how we use our language, how we use our speech, how we use our gestures, our posture, our facial expressions, all of these things go together to deliver communication and also to read the communication in others. And so having accrued these understandings about how communication develops both typically when things are going really well for a child or for a person, but also how um, communication can be impacted when there is atypical development for whatever reason. And I was interested in taking the skills that I had in teaching people to read into the prison. And I was really conscious that most people, and certainly the education team there at that time, didn't understand about speech pathology as being involved in teaching people to read. And so I wanted to show, was not so much show what I knew how to do. What I wanted to do was to take my skills and to be able to use them practically inside of that context and to bring the applied science to the way that work was being done and is being done, because there are so many efficiencies if we can kind of really get down into the evidence base of what do the sciences show us about how people learn to read in this instance, or how they learn language in other areas of my profession. So if we can really get into the nitty gritty of that, then we can do some really efficacious stuff. Like, we can do work that is both effective and efficient in terms of more efficient in terms of time and more efficient in terms of cost. And so, the education team at the time were really very gracious in permitting me to come in. And so when I went in there, I didn't have a particular program that I was trying to run. I was trying to do what I know how to do as a human communication scientist, working with individuals, taking their individual circumstances, their particular set of challenges in processing auditory information, in using language, the history of their lives, what kind of traumatic events might have happened in their pasts that have an impact on how steady and calm they're able to be in the moment. So, that all has an impact on therapy. How close can I go to a challenging task without tipping somebody over the edge into a reaction that could be harmful for them or harmful for others around them potentially. I want to take them to where they're going to be challenged to be able to learn a new skill, but not take them so close that they can't manage that. So all of these things we have to read, and it's a lot of it is very individualized work, and that's what I was able to do in the prison. And we saw some amazing changes really very quickly. And the people that were working with me recognize, gosh, there's some things here that we have just never done before. There are elements in the work that we see Rosie doing that we haven't ever enfolded into the processes for teaching reading. And yet we were getting, some really quick and impressive results. And so it wasn't so much about a program. It was actually, and I love about this story, because it was actually just about the application of the science. And if we apply the science well, then we can actually expect to get results and to get changes. So, that was really great. And I'll say, perhaps in a response to your question there about across that 40 years, I'm going to say that the what we know about, in this case, reading science, but also the sciences around how human communication develops generally. These we've become sharpened in our knowledge in these things across the decades in which I've been working, and so I feel now, 40 years on, that I have many, many more tools in my belt to be able to work with people than what I did a number of years ago. That said, I'm also going to say that there are a number of tried and trusted tools that I totally had 40 years ago that I still use every day. So, things change and things stay the same. But yeah, as if we're true to the process of science, then we need to follow where the evidence goes. And it's actually a great pleasure to do that. And we shouldn't be frightened of doing it because, it just means that we're improving and able to improve our services.